Welcome to week one. You're about to hear a conversation with Dr. Jamila Dugan and Shane Safir, who are the co authors of Street Data. But before you press play, I want to give you a few things to listen for because I don't want you watching this as a here's a nice idea about school data kind of assignment. I'd like you to listen as doctoral researchers, testing a framework against your own dissertation interest. So notice first that Dugan and Safir spend a long stretch of this conversation on their own professional histories before they ever start to define what street data is. That's not a preamble. Dugan, in particular, has moved across an AYP focused school, an IB school, and a high income Mandarin immersion school, and she names her own experience failing out of high school. Safir talks about a formative project that pairs students across very different school contexts in the Bay Area. So pay attention to why they choose to open this way. What work is positioning doing before the content even starts? Second, listen for how they define street data itself and hold it up against Gutierrez's four dimensions of equity, which you'll read about this week. That's access, achievement, identity, and power. You won't hear those four words used often. That's intentional on your part, not a gap in the conversation. Your job is to map their language onto that framework yourself. When Dugan tells a story later in the conversation about a multilingual student whose test scores looked weak while she was actually tracking three languages at once, ask yourself which of Gutierrez's dimensions that story is really surfacing. It might not be the one that it looks like at first. Third, listen closely to a moment about a third of the way through where the host asks directly about pushback, whether this framework is, quote, just, unquote, critical race theory. Notice that Dugan doesn't spend time defending the work against that framing at all. Pay attention to what she does instead and what that choice costs her or buys her. That moment is worth returning to. And finally, when they get to the four-phase equity transformation cycle, listen for where power actually changes hands in their example and where it doesn't fully move even when the intention is there. That distinction between whose experiences become visible and who holds the authority to act on it is the thread I want you carrying into this week's discussion board. So take notes as you go. You'll need specific moments from this conversation, not just general impressions, for both the discussion board and your research log. So here's the conversation.